And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Doomsday protocols went into effect this morning in the USA and around the world. The deep state is being hunted down by freelancers and operatives after last night's massive failure. Everyone received vouchers and IOUs that came due early today. Bank for International Settlements and the Treasury are now trying to launder money for the Boko Haram, a Western African terrorist group, as desperation sets in. Okay. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hello, Kim.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. How are things going today?
And happy day after the new moon day.
Oh, yeah. I never pay attention to that stuff, but yeah, for what you're doing, absolutely. That's a big deal.
So I can tell you a little bit more about what's been happening behind the scenes with the deep state.
Okay.
Because it was all supposed to come to fruition this morning. And I know there were some things you asked me about, and I said, well, I prefer not to say. Mm-hmm. So I didn't. But now I can start talking about it a little bit more, at least the part that's already underway.
Okay.
And the events of the last 24 hours. So, as you know, the deep state was desperately hunting for some kind of an Omega backup system that they thought was going to go into effect last night. Of course, always during a new moon, full moon, during the flux new moon, I guess. Maybe they thought they had it. But alas, nothing happened by yesterday afternoon, and this left them kind of in a panic, and more so because there was a second part that had been going on for a couple of weeks now, and I thought I'd share it with you now, because then they know now that I know, which is important. Okay, if you've been kind of around for a while, you've probably seen a lot of documentation online about the Committee of 300.
Oh, yeah.
And some of these documents show like a long list. They're about 100 pages long or so. They show a long list of banks worldwide that they allegedly control with large numbers beside them. Now, these documents are kind of well known. They've been spread all over the internet. So if not, then I will go ahead and I'll post it in community chat so you can take a look at it, just so you know what I'm talking about. And in part, the Committee of 300 allegedly claims, based on these documents, that they control the holding companies of all of these banking institutions. Mm-hmm. Now, to some degree, holding companies also had an operating system of their own. So I spent several hours the other day kind of preparing for what I saw coming. Because all operating systems were kind of alpha omega dual operating systems, what we've been doing is we've been converting these to alpha harmonic genesis operating systems, therefore eliminating any view from omega. So these accounts, although they didn't hold any real money in them because they had no allocation numbers, you could still see the holding companies within the financial system at the higher levels. And by higher levels, I'm meaning family levels and above government levels, those kinds of places. So someone which claimed to be, and I still don't know quite who this person is in their name, who claimed to be a descendant of the Committee of 300 heir of something or other, decides that he's going to take all of these accounts, show them to countries, and explain to them that on the 7th, these accounts would then go live and become active. So they began issuing a tremendous amount of vouchers to various people, IOUs, if you will. And by people, I don't mean like you and I mean like the royal family of Saudi Arabia, some terrorist organizations throughout the Middle East. They issued them to militaries. They issued them in a lot of different places. And so I've kind of been watching this as the new currency of the deep state. You know, always going to be good at a day ending in Y in the future. And that night was last night. They also have tried doing some business, I should say again, with a group called the Boko Haram in Africa. So they pretty much operate mostly in Western Africa. They have a lot of cash, actual physical cash, and a lot of it is super notes. And they've been unable to launder that money into the system since the shutdown a few years back by yours truly of a United Nations black site in Kenya. So they were happily laundering their money for decades now through this United Nations facility in Kenya until it was shut down, probably about 2 or 3 years ago now. And so the Treasury Department and the Bank for International Settlements thought that they would help them out and figured they could use allocation numbers from all of their stacks of cash to legitimize some of this money that is on off-ledger accounts in these holding company accounts. Well, so, you know, we watched them try to set it up, but they also tried to use these holding company accounts for their new digital currency system, which they tried again to relaunch yesterday. There was a large meeting going on at the Bank for International Settlements yesterday with the global headquarters folks and some military people worldwide trying to get the system up and running based on these accounts that are just basically numbers on a computer screen. So that failed miserably, and by late afternoon yesterday, everybody kind of started to panic. Now, they worked all night long, God bless their souls. They worked so hard last night to try to make all of these scams work for them. They brought people in from the US Treasury, you know, to go to different locations around the world. They, you know, they really thought they had it. But we were prepared for this untenuous situation because we had been watching it for a while. And the one thing you always want to use in warfare is the element of surprise. You never show your hand, you never tell them what you're going to do. We might load things behind the scenes, programs and those types of things set to go off at a certain time or day based on what we expect to happen. Now, based on the fact that this did not work out, we figured by, very early morning Eastern Standard Time today, everybody would be in a full-on panic by then. Now, due to the fact global headquarters are predominantly based in the United States, we figured since they worked all night, that we would probably set this to go off sometime around 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time this morning, because then they'd probably be getting up, after a long night of zero accomplishment. So we set off the following things to go off at this specific time. So every single one of those banks listed on the documents, and there are hundreds listed on there, we set it off to take over all of the holding companies' operating systems starting at 7 a.m. this morning. Not only that, we also made sure at the same time when we took them over, and they're now listed as under the Office of the Guardian, we zeroed out every single one of the accounts. Yep. At the same time, we also shut down the base platform for militaries worldwide, intelligence worldwide, NATO, the base back-end platform for internet security. We also shut down all treasury systems, everything everybody has on the front end from the base platform. So we've not been slacking in any way, but we set all these events to go off one after the other after the other. So basically, the thing that they have as far as deep state is concerned, and unfortunately governments are concerned, are now pretty much shut down. They have no eyes and ears. Then we proceeded to finish off the financial system with backbones of tax authorities and other types of things. So everybody's having database problems this morning because, we've kind of come to the conclusion that governments aren't really doing anything. They're just kind of a tool in the toolbox for the deep state. They're not helping the people any, this isn't really working out. We have given them hundreds of chances to come forward and have a conversation with us. Nobody wants to. And then there's always this line of buying time to the next new moon, the full moon, you name it. The next location I hear they're all going to try this in is on the full moon, 2 weeks from yesterday. And they'll be going to Malaysia this time. We've kind of come to the conclusion that governments aren't really doing anything. They're just kind of a tool in the toolbox for the deep state. They're not helping the people any, this isn't really working out. We have given them hundreds of chances to come forward and have a conversation with us. Nobody wants to. And then there's always this line of buying time to the next new moon, full moon, you name it. The next location I hear they're all going to try this in is on the full moon, 2 weeks from yesterday, and they'll be going to Malaysia this time. So I know, God bless them, right? And none of this is going to work. So the lies had to end. So by zeroing out the holding companies, that doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. This is all these genetic shareholders, alleged bank assets that they never had, leverage against your deeds. For example, if you get a mortgage on your house, they get 25 times, 100 times. This is the source of all the high yield trade programs that they do with governments. And, you see it kind of in the broker world, where you can get 800 times in like so many days. And you've probably seen medium-term notes, coming around from the World Bank or those types of things. These are the programs that I'm talking about that used to run on these types of accounts. Also a lot of wars were funded from them, off-market trading, credit lines, these types of things. But as of this morning, everything pretty much erupted into a giant zero. He makes comments here and there to us, and I'll just leave that to who that is. He's not on the list. And we had some chats about, there's going to be a financial system crash, and what are you going to do about it? And I said, well, even if I was going to do something about it, I'm certainly not going to tell you, especially not on your phone. So there has been, everyone is on high alert as far as shutting down systems. When you shut down financial systems, we didn't shut down the financial system, so it functions for you. You can go to an ATM machine, you can walk into your bank, the bank's going to operate just fine. What we shut down was the back-end platform for it. And that's where they usually try to commit the most amount of fraud. It's on a larger scale. The next thing, but we did actually shut down military's intelligence in NATO, and this is a worldwide outage situation everybody's facing today.
So is this like devastating? Like, how would you rank this? Like, if, on their side, like, how devastating is this for them is what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, the next thing that happens, let me kind of explain to you what happens after that, which we were also prepared for. The next thing that happens is what's called the doomsday protocol or doomsday system, which means that if there was a fictitious solar flare and it happened to be, take out electronics, that kind of thing, everything flips over to the doomsday system. And that's not only for the US, that's for the world. which happens to be run by the U.S. Underneath the White House and in Norfolk. So when I say flip over, it's basically a mirror. It mirrors the systems. It mirrors financial systems. It mirrors military and intelligence systems, so that they can be up and running not only in the doomsday bunkers, but also in like the doomsday plane. You've heard about the doomsday plane. So once that kicked in, it took just a few minutes to take it out. So then that went down. Then worldwide, there is another system that kicks in. And I know you're going to be so shocked and surprised when you hear about it. Now, this was not a human system. This was a system that was only accessible by the former owners of this planet. And the system was called X.
Oh, jeez. Of course it was.
Of course it was. Now, this is not something that our friendly X person, SpaceX, Disease X, other X, you're an X, they're an X, everywhere an XX, would have had access to. Although some of those systems were built upon a small section of the X platform as permitted by the former owners of this planet a while back. So then, after the doomsday system went down, then X disappeared. In short order, boom, 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 one after the other this morning, till there's no more backup systems for planet Earth. And the only system for planet Earth that will remain by the time all is said and done is the Alpha Harmonic Genesis system. So hopefully, I've gotten all the operating systems that I needed to get. There's also financial security systems, military security systems, which are, security equals control. So this is a deep state operation that intertwines with all military worldwide, all intelligence worldwide, all internet worldwide, all financial systems worldwide, all media systems worldwide. So it's kind of like the security aspect, but you could also call it another layer of control aspect as far as global security is concerned. So I think so far everything seems to be going well. Now the effects of this. You have everybody running around trying to find anything to log into anywhere. They obviously knew already last night that they were under attack, but thought that they could get their vouchers to work and a backup system to kick in order to pay out. Well, that didn't work. And then they thought they could use the doomsday system. That didn't work. Then they thought anybody that might have had a small amount of access to X, they thought that might work. So right now, as it stands at the time of this broadcast, it looks like a full-on panic attack. Everybody's running for the hills, trying to find safe spots, that kind of thing. There's no way they're going to escape the Raymond Reddington crew for long.
So when we say they, the other side that are running for the hills right now,
you would have various members of military, various members of the intelligence community. You would have black nobility on that list, and their families are on that list. You would have global headquarters folks on that list. You'll have, Langley 5 is on that list. I know that. Most of the people that are running that show right now are on that list. There are some treasury people, government people, political people worldwide. It's not necessarily here in the U.S. This is a worldwide operation that has been meticulously planned. Have, Langley 5 is on that list. I know that. Most of the people that are running that show right now are on that list. There are some treasury people, government people, political people worldwide. It's not necessarily here in the U.S. This is a worldwide operation that has been meticulously planned. You have some United Nations people on there. You have United Nations security on there on the list. You have some Order of the Dragon family people that are on the list. You know, they all have continuously lied, and you've been hearing it firsthand. It gets boring, right? Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's boring, really boring. But we expect to see some serious results. Now, are they going to come back with masked men or women? On what happens, but we do have a strategy laid out. That's part of the reason why we visited the NAB and that kind of thing. And we talked to other broadcasters, see what everybody else is doing out there too. And we were a totally foreign concept to most of those people, from what I heard from you and Mike. They were like, wow, we never thought of that. Like, you know, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's probably going to take a few days. This is not like, you know, this is not fast. This is a war. This is a real war. You know, we expect backlash. We expect, you know, certain things, but we try to account for everything. Doesn't mean you see everything. But succession now, because nobody wants to. I just can't even have another conversation about dead people walking around in a mask trying to run a country. I just don't want to hear it anymore.
I know, yeah.
Yep. Shutdowns are unavoidable. So that's pretty much where we're at for Wednesday. I mean, it's good news all around. I mean, big progress on our side of it. Us being able to manipulate institutions and whatnot after the disappearance of all of their stuff. And take over some of it for ourselves has increased dramatically. You know, some of the things I just had to wait. You know, there's an advantage to me waiting until this morning, you know, and last night. There's an advantage to that. You can kind of see why. So even though we pulled platforms, they didn't recognize the fact that that we could do that fast. And change things. So
now they know.
Yeah.
Now they know.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I said now they know.
Now they know.
How fast you can move.
The more
and
you
how
know.
quickly you can do stuff. Yeah.
But lots of progress being made. We look forward to your feedback on social media and how to make it better. You know, leave out the part about fact checking. That's an obvious, you know, but I mean, if you do have any suggestions on how to make it better and easier for people to use, where content is, you know, being watched and read on merit because people are looking for that information rather than, you know, maybe the latest curling iron or whatever. I guess that's important too, but not because you're an influencer and not because, you know, that kind of thing. It just needs to change a little bit. Yeah. All right, well, that is the news for, what are we, May 8th. There we go.
May 8th. All right.
Wednesday.
I'll see you back here Friday.